So now this should be a familiar sight to many of us in Malaysian roads. I'm of course talking about the Mazda CX-5 second generation model launched in 2017. But what you are seeing here, this is the facelift model that was recently introduced. So let's check it out. So the facelift model, Mazda has continued with the existing mechanical package with minor tweaks. So they have gotten, well, a bit more resources to invest in giving the car a more thorough cosmetic facelift. And what they've done here is that they have given the front styling details more substance, more thickness. If you compare with the pre-facelift model, the headlights now look thicker for starters, okay? And the illumination pattern is more defined. It now has this C lighting pattern. This chrome frame surrounding the grille as well has now been made thicker here at the side. And the grille elements here, these individual elements are also made, each of them made bigger, more pronounced. And also this little trademark gap here, this also now looks thicker than before, because perhaps it is a byproduct of the headlights now being made thicker. Okay, so you can see also in this example, the Mazda logo is laminated, so indicates there's a radar module here supporting the ADAS systems. So here there's a front camera for the 360-degree camera system, but this part of the fascia aside, Mazda has also stayed true to its existing design. See, this area here remains painted. You see, a lot of car design, what they've done is that this area, the corner of the bumper, they flare it, they make it black to give it more sportiness. Mazda has instead steadfastly refused all that. They have kept it nice and elegant. So you come to the side, the wheels are also of a new design, 17 inches. Now the thing with the CX-5 is that, see, at this segment, 17s are the right size, but the design of this car makes 17s look small. These 17-inch wheels, they look small. Visual standpoint, 19s are the right cosmetic fit, but that comes at the expense of the plush ride quality that this 2-liter model here enjoys. And weirdly, Mazda has this practice where they don't give 1 inch up in terms of wheel sizing. The catalog is always 17 inch and then pop, suddenly it's 19 inches. There is no 18-inch option. So this 2-liter GLS model, besides these rather tiny wheels, is otherwise pretty well equipped. You have ADAS, as I showed you earlier. You have keyless entry, which was already there in the pre-facelift model, but most interestingly, you've got side camera. So you've got 360-degree camera right here in the base 2-liter model. So the rear styling of the car, Mazda has not given it very significant alterations, but they have, well, restyled the taillights. They have basically fully revamped the taillights also to give this 4C look. Okay, of course, the CX-5 badging now gets a new font together with the Skyactiv G badging as well. And also, this is carried down from the pre-facelift model. You have a powered tailgate right here in the 2-liter model. So here under the boot, the floor opens up to a space saver spare tire. I've got things here. And size-wise, well, it's not going to win any contests against the CR-V, but it's big enough for most family use. The CX-5 traditionally has never been about having the biggest boot, but for most families, I would say it's big enough. And you do have split folding rear seats that when you come down and see, okay, so not flat, but it's seamless and it joins. So there are no gaps here, there are no steps here, so you can put bulky items sitting right there comfortably. This, of course, is removable, but now this version here has this additional plastic flaps so that when you close the seats, there's no gap here. All right, it is flappable, all right, but it fully covers. Now, get inside. I'm 170 centimeters tall and I've got a fist of headroom above me, more than a fist of headroom actually. The lean angle is good, so I can sit here for an extended period of time for a long distance drive, and I feel properly relaxed here at the back, and it's not claustrophobic. So right here, the seats, this armrest here, cup holders, this slot here, nice to drop your phones, and also open here. Check this out. You've also got two USB ports here. This is one of the best armrests in the business. Okay, rear air con vents, and also for the middle passenger here, the seat belt is anchored to the top of the seat back. So when you fold the seat back down, okay, the seat belt does not impede, the middle passenger seat belt does not impede with the folding or loading of stuff. That's great. Come to the front. Once again, a very familiar place. So you can see down here, it's controls, power boot, parking sensors, traction control, lane keep assist, engine start stop off, 360-degree camera. Now, check this out. This is the 360-degree camera. Compared to a lot of other options in the market, this really is now no longer the best. Well, it was never the best to start with. One weak spot that Mazda has is that with regards to their 360-degree camera, their image stitching has always been not very well sorted. Let me demonstrate this. So as I reverse, observe the yellow lines, all right? Or as I move forward, look at that. There's a speed bump with a zebra crossing. As you see the way it is stitched. Yeah, it's not an easy to comprehend image, all right? And it's not helped by the fact that it's not very high resolution. Okay, but that to me is my only complaint. Otherwise, this, surprisingly, the infotainment system is exactly the same as that I've experienced in the pre-facelift model. They have not, I don't see what they have changed here. This looks and feels exactly the same as it was before, which is surprising for a facelift. Okay, but then again, the existing one worked well enough. Mazda didn't see the point of re-engineering it. And that being said, also, Mazda is a relatively small volume maker. So for them to re-engineer a whole infotainment system, that would probably have to wait for the next model generation. Now, in an age where every car maker is rushing to put a whole screen in front of you, it is refreshing to see Mazda giving you old school analog dials. Analog tachometer, analog speedometer. This is a screen, but look at the effort they put to make this look analog and to make the display look and feel homogeneous with the natural analog meters. Now, the reason being is that it's not that Mazda cannot give you a fancy screen. They chose not to. Okay, they chose to prioritize clarity, ease of reading over fancy graphics, and this is what we have here. So down here you can see this is the aircon controls, engine start stop button. So here is a wireless charging tray that is angled away. So when you put your phone, the phone screen is angled away. You can't see it. Okay, I mean, some would also say, why didn't Mazda angle it this way so that we can read the phone? But I believe Mazda is deliberate in not wanting us to be able to see the screen of the phone so that we can concentrate on our driving. Now, comment on this whole area. There's a lot of unused space. So here's the infotainment control system, parking brake, gear selector. So a lot of bare space here that is not utilized. And what we have here is that it leaves a very tight space left for the cup holders, but inside here they have at least given it depth for the center console storage. And you have this tray here which you can stack on board, stack on top to give 2-level storage. And down here, let me just show you, you've got 2 USB ports, an SD card slot, as well as a 12-volt socket hidden right here. So there also is a 12-volt socket, but no USB ports available in the open. But overall, 2 USB ports here, 2 USB ports at the back, total 4 USB ports. That's decent by today's standards. Park this back in. All right. So overall, this is same old, but here's the thing. The same old worked well enough that Mazda saw no need to make any radical changes. Now, as some of you may or may not be aware, I also happen to have a CX-5 pre-facelift at home. And now, jumping from that to this facelift model, I can tell you it looks and feels almost exactly the same. Now, of course, some of the additional features, the different spec and all that, this car has adaptive cruise control, this car has a wireless charging tray, but the overall ambiance, the feel, the fit and finish, even the infotainment system, the way the car reacts, responds, behaves, all feels exactly the same as my mom's car. Now, is that a bad thing? Not entirely. Granted, the competition has refreshed themselves with newer models with more powerful engines, but testament to Mazda that because the original CX-5 hit the market already as a complete and well-refined product, by just implementing some cosmetic changes, adding a few features here and there, Mazda is still able to keep the CX-5 relatively competitive as a product, even though it no longer is the outright class leader that it once was. The point is, if you were to spend 140k on this CX-5, well, you're not going to feel shortchanged, because it is still, you still feel, through the way the car behaves, the smoothness of the engine, the well-refined nature of the ride. You can feel the engineering integrity of this car that is not easily replicated by a car making approach that seeks to cobble together some parts and impress you with the brightest, fanciest LED lights. In an era where our eyes are constantly blinded by all the flashy LED screens and whatnot, it is refreshing that Mazda is continuing to go to court with pure engineering integrity. Now, from a performance standpoint, this 2-liter NA engine paired with a 6-speed automatic transmission, not going to set any performance records. And against segment benchmarks, not exactly the fastest. But the way Mazda tuned the engine and gearbox to response, the way Mazda mapped the transmission shift points, the way they set the ratios, it really gives even the base 2-liter model here a sprightly characteristic. At no point ever you will find that the CX-5 2.0 here to be in any way underpowered. Yes, you will need to use a few revs more compared to the diesel engine if you are to want to make any brisk amount of progress, but the way everything is put together, the way everything responds and reacts to you, it really feels that the engineers put in every effort to fine-tune every last component of this car. And the word that I would use to describe the behavior is harmonious. Every component of this car works in perfect harmony with everything else, right? And that is perhaps the reason why, right, even with what we would call an aging product, the CX-5 remains convincingly competitive. Now, the ride and handling of the CX-5 remains its strong point. And yeah, you've got a bit of body roll when I took that bend, but The comfort is well sorted, right? It soaks up all the rumble strips, the bumps, the potholes. It's such a well-resolved ride. Now, the word that comes to mind, as I navigate the city traffic with this car is ease of use. The CX-5 really aces in ease of use, in that it is such a pleasant car to wheel in almost all road conditions. Everything is just tuned, make driving as stress-free as possible. The car really works with you. Now, the big improvement compared to the one I have at home here, of course, is the addition of adaptive cruise control. Now, of course, if this was my mom, if I were to tell her that I'm putting adaptive cruise control into a car, it wouldn't make a difference in her life, because adaptive cruise control is not something that she would use. But that being said, anybody would benefit from autonomous emergency braking. In an emergency, she may be liable to lapses of concentration, and that would mean having an AEB to back her up would give me a bit more peace of mind, knowing that there is that additional safety net. She wouldn't probably put the adaptive cruise control to use, but the AEB would come in handy. Now, the adaptive cruise control as well also, in my experience using it, feels well calibrated in typical Mazda pattern. You see, the thing with Mazda is this: no other car maker puts as much attention to driving sensations the way Mazda does. These guys, it's like they write a whole thesis about it. Just imagine the way Volvo obsesses with safety is the way Mazda obsesses with driving feel. The car reacts to our input, everything, right? That's why Jinba Itai is not just a slogan for these guys in Mazda. They take it seriously. They really buy into the whole concept of man and machine as one, right? They really invest in making the car feel as if it is an extension of our body. They make it a point that the car feels instinctive, intuitive in the way it responds to our inputs. That's why whatever it is, driving a Mazda is always a very pleasant, a very stress-free kind of experience, because you can predict exactly how the car will behave. So in the marketplace, where we have now this CR-V, we now have the Volkswagen Tiguan, and I just remembered the Nissan X-Trail, but that's an even older product, right? The CX-5 is now one of the oldest horses in the block, but this guy has still got a few tricks up its ponies, simply because it does everything that is asked of it without fuss, right? Without fanfare, right? It's still a handsomely styled car. It's still well built on the inside. It is refined on the move. So yes, it's been around for a while, but there is still much to like about it, and it is still a mid-sized SUV that is eminently, entirely worthy of your consideration if you are shopping at this bracket and segment. Right, so that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Now, I know with CX-5 being a very popular vehicle, there are a lot of you watching this probably who already own a CX-5, and I would like to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What is your experience owning the CX-5? Share it in the comment section below. Or if you are considering the CX-5, maybe what do you think of this car versus its rivals? Let me know in the comment section below. Okay, so that's it from me today. Until my next one, take care, stay safe. I'll see you soon.